So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time. Now, needless to say this, revise this lecture just after watching it, because if you don't, then whatever you have studied in this lecture, you will quickly forget that. And we don't want that. We want to remember these current affairs until our exams. So just after watching it, revise it from the notes provided by us. These notes are shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. Okay, so do that. And we shall quickly begin our today's discussion. Okay, but first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so let's begin. So daily current affairs. Yes. 2nd October, Thursday, and here is the topics list. Okay. Number one topic is a fascinating thing called flying river in the Amazon rainforests of South America. So what is this flying river? A river flying above in the atmosphere. So we'll talk about this and how important it is, okay? And how it is becoming extinct. We'll talk about all these factors. Then second topic is related to accuracy of climate models. You all know about climate models. Using these models, well, climate scientists are able to predict the climate, okay? How much sea level would rise in 100 years or 50 years? How much temperature would there be, global temperature in 50 years, all these things, all these predictions are made. So how accurate these climate models are, okay, because recently Donald Trump criticized these models. So we'll talk about accuracy of climate models. Then the third topic is related to European Union's drone war. European Union basically is scared of Russia, that after Ukraine, Russia is going to invade the Eastern European countries which are part of European Union. That is why they are basically trying to focus more on their defense. One such project which will improve their defense preparedness is a drone wall on the eastern side of EU. Okay, what is this drone wall? Is it actually a wall, physical wall, or is it something different? We'll talk about this. And last topic is related to center hikes MSP, minimum support price for Rabi crops. Okay, what is the objective behind this? What is MSP actually? We'll quickly revise that also. Okay, so this is the thing. So these are the four topics, okay? Number one topic is related to environment portion of your UPSC syllabus, environment as well as geography. Second topic is again related to environment portion of your UPSC syllabus. Third topic is related to defense, which is part of science and technology, and international relations portion of your UPSC syllabus. And the fourth topic is completely related to economics portion of your UPSC syllabus, okay? So these are the four news items that we shall zero in our attention on. So let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number one, and that is flying river in Amazon. Now look, the name is quite fascinating, okay? A river that is, well, above the ground in the atmosphere. It is actually flying. So flying river in Amazon basically is, these are winds that carry a lot of water vapor, okay? These are winds, directed winds that carry a lot of water vapor and they blow over Amazon rainforest. Now the reason why we are discussing them is, well, because recently, because of deforestation, excessive deforestation in Amazon rainforest, well, there are disruptions in this flying river, okay? Not enough moisture is there in these winds that are flying above in the atmosphere, in the upper layers of atmosphere, okay? And because of that, there are drought-like conditions in Amazon. Now this, if continues, then this would have serious repercussions for not just South America, Amazon rainforest, but overall the entire climate of the planet. Okay, so what is this flying river? Why is it called flying river? You understand this by now, okay? It's called flying river. It's not actual river that is floating above in the atmosphere. It is actually a proper current of winds, air current that carries a lot of moisture and brings a lot of rainfall in Amazon rainforest, okay? So what is this flying river? How does it originate? What is the science behind this? And because of deforestation, what impact it's facing, okay? These are the things that we will focus on, okay? It is very important from the perspective of geography as well as environment. So pay close attention, okay? Let's begin. So flying river in Amazon. So as you can see, this is the picture. So this blue portion is this aerial river, flying river of Amazon, okay? So how does it originate? What is the entire mechanics behind this? Pay close attention on this image, okay? So there are these trade winds, okay, that blow from Atlantic Ocean into South America, into the continent. Now, because they come from Atlantic Ocean, they already have a lot of moisture they have carried from this ocean. As soon as they enter the Amazon rainforest, because this entire green portion is covered with dense Amazon rainforest. Okay, as soon as they flow over land, okay, these forests or the trees in these forests act like water pumps. So as you know that trees have roots, okay, deep roots that are buried into the soil. Well, these trees absorb water from the soil, okay, carry it upwards towards their leaves, and through the process of transpiration or transpiration, you all know about this, transpiration. Well, trees release water vapor into the air. Transpiration is the process through which trees release water vapor into the air. Okay. Now, as soon as this wind, it passes over Amazon rainforest. Well, Amazon rainforest, or the trees over there, they pump water from the soil and release it as water vapor through transpiration. Now, this water vapor mixes with these trade winds, and these trade winds have excessive moisture, too much moisture. Okay. Now they flow. Over here, they hit a roadblock, okay, because there are high mountain ranges called the Andes mountain range, very high. They act as a barrier. Because they are acting as a barrier, therefore these winds move southwards, okay, and they go through the entire Amazon rainforest as well as South America. Because they are laden with moisture, water vapor, they basically bring in a lot of rainfall. So many countries in the Amazon basin or many countries in South America are dependent upon this rainfall. There are many agricultural regions, okay, many farmers are dependent on this. Many cities are dependent on this rainfall for water. Make sense? So this is this aerial river. Make sense? Let's talk about its basic features, okay? So Amazon flying rivers. So massive invisible currents of water vapor in the atmosphere. This is this flying river, aerial river, okay? Now it comes from Atlantic Ocean. It already has a lot of moisture from Atlantic Ocean, okay? But Amazon rainforests, the trees in those rainforests act as water pumps and add more water vapor. In fact, it is said that trees give more water vapor than the oceans themselves. Okay, trees release a lot of water vapor through transpiration, any pronunciation would do. Okay, trees release more water vapor than the ocean itself, the Atlantic Ocean itself. So it is full of moisture. Then it is blocked by Andes mountain range, Andes diversion. And then when it moves southwards, it brings a lot of rainfall in major regions of South America. Clear? Now, what are the benefits of this aerial river? Okay, what are the benefits? What is the significance? So it acts as a crucial water source because it brings a lot of rainfall. So many countries in this region are dependent on this rainfall for their water requirements. Yes, this is number one. Then it regulates regional climate and biodiversity. Because it brings in a lot of rainfall, these forests get a lot of water and it makes the climate, the local climate, the regional climate humid. Already this region is close to the equator. Okay, so it is already hot. And because of this extra water vapor, it becomes humid. Hot and humid conditions are perfect conditions for excessive or very rich biodiversity. Biodiversity in plants, biodiversity in animals. So this is one of the most biodiverse regions of the world, Amazon rainforest. Okay, it's because of this aerial river only. And it not just affects the climate of South America. Okay, it influences global climate also because it basically regulates the water cycle of South America, which has an impact even on North America, United States and Canada, and some parts of Pacific Ocean. So it's very important and very significant. But recently scientists are worried. And why are they worried? Because of massive deforestation in Amazon rainforest. Okay, all countries, most of the countries, they are cutting down trees to expand urban areas, to expand farmlands. So Amazon rainforests are being cut down. Because of this, the moisture that was contributed because of transpiration to this aerial river, that has reduced. Therefore, this aerial river, the moisture that this aerial river was carrying, that has reduced. Because of that, rainfall has reduced. And because of that, there are drought-like conditions in many parts of South America. Okay? Well, scientists are warning that if this situation continues, Amazon rainforest would quickly convert into dry grasslands, like in Africa, savannas. If you have studied geography, you know what savannas are. Dry grasslands, tropical grasslands of Africa. Amazon rainforest would convert into tropical grasslands of Africa, savannas. This has to be stopped. And how to stop it? Stop deforestation. Okay, so threats because of deforestation, well, reduced water vapor, worsening droughts, and scientists are calling this Amazon tipping point. That if this thing accentuates, if this thing increases, Amazon rainforest would no longer be hot and humid, they would only be hot and dry. And once they become hot and dry, they would convert into savannas. The biodiversity would vanish. Clear? So this is the tipping point. Stop before it tips, finally. Clear? Now some extra information about Amazon rainforest. So what are these Amazon rainforests? As you can see on this map, well, this entire region, okay, which contains Brazil, Bolivia, Colombia, Guyana, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, right? This entire region is covered with dense rainforest, very dense rainforest called the Amazon rainforest. The reason why they are called Amazon rainforest is because a major river, the widest river in the world and second longest river in the world called the Amazon River flows through it. Okay, many tributaries of Amazon and Amazon River itself flows through these rainforests. That is why it is also known as Amazon Basin and Amazon rainforest. Okay, so the Amazon is the world's largest tropical rainforest spanning over 5.5 million square kilometers. Okay, it covers 40% of South America, Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, French Guyana, Suriname, Venezuela. The rainforest is a mosaic of ecosystems. There are a variety of ecosystems drained by Amazon River and its thousands of tributaries. Okay, Amazon River, you should remember this, is the largest river by volume, the amount of water it carries. And it is the second longest river after Nile. Okay, now these Amazon rainforests are called the lungs of the planet. Why are they called lungs of the planet? Well, you all know that trees, well, during the day, they do photosynthesis. Right? Now, in photosynthesis, they absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So much of the oxygen that is available on Earth is released by these plants. By some estimates, 20% of the oxygen in the world is released by Amazon rainforest. Okay? Right? So they give us the air to breathe, the entire world. Plus, trees through photosynthesis absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And you all know that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas which is causing global warming. So if Amazon rainforests are absorbing carbon dioxide, well, they are reducing global warming. So they are providing a very good climate service. If you will cut down trees in these Amazon rainforests, it would accentuate global warming and it would also might cause shortage of oxygen. Protect these rainforests. That's the main, well, that's the bottom line, okay, that scientists are warning about. All right, now let's quickly shift our focus to second news item, and that is accuracy of climate models. Okay, very important. Now listen to me carefully. Recently, United Nations General Assembly session was going on. Donald Trump went there and he was angry with the United Nations for a number of reasons, okay, and he displayed that anger also in his speech. Now, one portion of his speech basically criticized climate scientists of the world. Well, he said that all these climate scientists actually gave big warnings about climate change, but those warnings were false. Okay, climate change is not that big of a problem. It is not that fast. Global temperatures are not rising that fast, that rapidly. Therefore, all these scientists basically conned all of us. They fooled all of us. Okay, now, well, he questioned the relevance and accuracy of the climate models based on which scientists make predictions. Okay, so all these climate scientists use these computer programs that simulate Earth's climate. Using these computer programs, they can make predictions, long-term, short-term predictions about the climate. Based on these climate models, well, these climate scientists have warned that Earth's temperature is going to rise in future, sea level is going to rise in future, well, extreme weather events are going to rise in future, and all sorts of predictions are made using these climate models. Okay, and Donald Trump has criticized them. So this begs the question, what are these climate models? What is the science behind them? And how accurate they are? Are they really accurate? Or Donald Trump is 100% correct? So let's talk about this, okay? So accuracy of climate models. All right. So first of all, what are these climate models? Well, it is a computer program, computer simulation that uses mathematical formulae and algorithms to replicate Earth's climate, to completely simulate Earth's climate. And when you simulate Earth's climate, replicate Earth's climate in a computer, you can make predictions. Okay, how does it work? So a modern climate model first divides the earth into three-dimensional cells, grid, like this. Okay, the entire earth is divided into these small cells. Clear? These cells are, well, 100 to 150 kilometer or square kilometer, or the dimensions can change. Okay, now these cells cover the earth, entire earth, horizontally as well as vertically also, with height also. So these are three-dimensional cells. By three-dimensional, they're not two-dimensional, they're three-dimensional. They also contain height also. Clear? So these cells, well, the entire earth is divided into cells, and each cells, well, climate variables, weather variables are captured. Okay, data. For example, in one particular cell, what is the temperature, what is the moisture content, and many other factors. So these are climate variables. So for every cell, different climate variables, the data related to them is captured. Okay, so every cell has different data points, and based on those data points, for every cell, you feed all these data points into the model. Clear? So a modern climate model first divides the earth into three-dimensional grid. Then each cell is represented by a mathematical equation that describe the materials, like how much is the land, how much is the sea content, air, ice, and then temperature variables. Then all these variables like temperature, humidity, and all these variables, first they are recorded and then they are fed into this model. Okay, scientists then feed input data from observations. The output, then these mathematical equations using this input calculate and makes predictions. The output from model includes changes in climate, weather, different variables of climate, and everything. Clear? This is how, roughly. You don't have to have full knowledge as to how a climate model works. Okay, this much information is enough. Okay, very simply put, well, it is a model, computer program. You feed input, it gives you output, climate predictions. Make sense? Okay. Now, well, evolution of models. Okay, when did this modeling start? So the first models that came were called energy balance models. They came in 1960s. It was the first time that scientists started using climate models. Well, energy balance models were very basic. Okay, they only captured the energy released by the sun towards the earth and how much does the earth absorbs and releases back into the atmosphere. Okay, so it only calculated surface temperature of the earth. Energy balance, how much heat energy is coming from sun and how much earth is reflecting back. That's it. It only calculated that. So it was a very basic model, energy balance model. Then you upgraded it a little. It was called radiative convective model. The shortcoming of energy balance model was that it only calculated surface temperature, not the atmospheric temperature above the surface of the earth. RCMs did that, but still RCMs were also basic. And then we come to the most advanced climate models that are currently used. General circulation models, also known as global climate models. These are the most sophisticated and precise models for understanding climate systems. Okay, remember these terms, by the way. So GCMs are used to predict the climate of the entire planet. Then different countries or different regions like Asia, South America, they have created their own regional climate models. They're like GCMs only, but for a specific region. Simple? Yes? So yeah, that's the thing. Clear? Now the question is how accurate they are. That's what Donald Trump questioned, right? How accurate they are. They are fairly accurate, pretty accurate. Okay, they have made some genuine predictions which came true also. They're very accurate, very useful, and we should continue using them and continue improving them. But there are still some shortcomings which hamper their accuracy. Now we need to be aware of those shortcomings, right? So let's talk about those shortcomings in brief only. So shortcomings. So first of all, well, you remember in these climate models, you need to input data, right? Observations through sensors, temperature sensors, moisture sensors, right? Now, sometimes data is imperfect, incomplete, unavailable also in some remote locations. Okay, plus sometimes the data is very difficult to gather because it is very difficult to gather data on complicated climate processes like cloud dynamics, okay, and climate effects of sudden events like El Nino, volcanic eruption. What happens immediately after a volcanic eruption? Temperature rapidly changes and many things change. So this data is, these observations are difficult. I mean, they are unable to capture all these things. That is why sometimes there are variations in the predictions, okay, or not variations, inaccuracies. So data perfection is one problem. Then local factors. These climate models are well adapted. Okay, these climate models are good for predicting climate of a large area, because they are unable to capture data for local processes, urban rural area heat differences, sea land heat differences. Okay, that is why they are unable to capture local factors. This is one problem. Okay, because each cell has dimensions ranging from 100 to 250 kilometers. That is fairly large area. This is one problem. Then these climate models are unable to predict extreme weather events, which are increasing day by day. Okay, and last, well, most of these climate models were built by observing the climate of North America, Europe, developed countries. These climate models were not constructed keeping in mind developing countries, which are also known as global south. Clear? So they make faulty predictions with respect to global south, because the design of these models was made keeping developed world in mind, because most of the scientists came from this developed world. Plus, sensors and data capturing is better in developed countries. In developing countries, well, there is lack of data. Okay, lack of climate related data because of various challenges in developing countries. So these models are fairly inaccurate in global south, but they work perfectly fine in global north, right? So these are some of the shortcomings, but that doesn't mean we should go the Donald Trump way. Okay, we should completely abandon these models. These models have served a purpose and they have been fairly useful. We should continue improving them because of these shortcomings, but we shouldn't completely abandon them. That's the bottom line that you get from this. All right, okay. Now let's move on to third news item, and that is also very important. It's called EU's drone wall. Okay, as you all know, Russia, Ukraine are fighting. Okay, and European Union is supporting Ukraine. Clear? Now, entire European Union, Europe, is afraid of a Russian invasion. They fear that if Russia defeats Europe after capturing, if Russia defeats Ukraine after capturing Ukraine, the next stop would be eastern countries of Europe. Okay, and recently some of the Russian drones invaded the airspace of Poland and many Latvia, Lithuania, all these Eastern European countries. Clear? So it's a matter of time these drones would enter further west into the Central Europe. Yes, so there is a big fear. That is why all the countries of Europe, in fact, European Union, they have said that instead of relying on national governments for defense, all of us, all our countries in Europe, in European Union, should come together and build a proper drone wall on the eastern front, on the eastern side of Europe, okay, to block Russian drones from entering into European airspace. Okay, they are basically thinking of building a drone wall, because currently, well, every national government has its own infrastructure. Poland has its own, Latvia has its own. But these national governments are pretty inadequate as far as their defense preparedness is concerned. That is why all countries should join hands to build a drone wall. Simple. Now, this drone wall won't be a physical wall made up of bricks. Okay? Well, drone wall means like India protected against Pakistani drones and jets during Operation Sindoor. You must remember this, right? Because we had a good air defense system. Similarly, Europe wants to build, together, all countries want to build an air defense system that would block all Russian drones from entering into European territory. That is what we mean by this drone wall. Make sense? Okay. Now, what would be the components of this drone wall? Let's talk about this. Clear? So, EU's drone wall, let's talk about the components of this drone wall. As you can see on this map, well, this is Europe, this is Russia over here. In these countries, they are trying to build a drone wall because Russian drones are entering these countries, these blue countries, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, okay, Hungary, all these countries. Now, what are the components of this drone wall? First of all, you need to be able to detect drones. So drone detection is a major component. Okay, it includes a good radar and acoustic sensor network. Acoustic sensor captures sound waves. So you need a good network of these radars and acoustic sensors to capture drones. Okay, because without detecting them, how would you neutralize them, destroy them? Clear? Second, how to destroy them now? You have detected them, now how to destroy them? Now there are two ways of destroying these drones. Okay, in military language we call it interception. In air defense language, okay. Now there are two ways of intercepting drones. or any other aerial object, enemy aerial object. Number 1 is kinetic and number 2 is non-kinetic. Okay. Now, what do you mean by kinetic? So, if there is a drone, you launch a missile like S-400 and all we did, okay? You launch missiles, okay, or rockets to intercept these drones in air, mid-air and destroy them. These are kinetic measures, okay? Non-kinetic measures are those measures in which you do not have to launch a missile or a rocket to destroy that drone mid-air. You use electronic warfare. You use electronic signals to jam their GPS, or you fire EM waves to destroy their electronics. So you don't have to fire a rocket. You're just either hacking their drone, okay, through cyber warfare, or using EM waves to destroy the electronics of that drone. Okay, that is called non-kinetic. Clear? So non-kinetic interception, it includes electronic warfare that defends against drones by jamming their navigation, how they are navigating, communication system or their signals. So Russian operators cannot fly these drones. So these are non-kinetic. Benefit of non-kinetic is they are fairly cheaper. In kinetic, you are launching a missile to destroy a drone. Now listen to me carefully. A drone can cost around $200 or $500, while a missile can cost around $5,000. Now, if Russia keeps on building these $500 drones and Europe always uses a $5,000 missile to destroy that drone, don't you think in few years or in a matter of time, Russia can bankrupt Europe, right? That is why countries favor non-kinetic interception. They are cheaper. And even if Europe is going to use kinetic interception, it would mostly use these anti-aircraft guns or nets rather than missiles, which are very costly. Clear? And you need to integrate all these radars, these electronic warfare systems and these missile systems, aircraft guns. They need to be on one single network, and that should be run by AI. AI integration is very important. That's what they will do in this drone war. Clear? Now, why is there a need for this drone war? Well, first of all, recent airspace violations by Russia have increased the threat of Russia. That is why they are thinking of building a drone wall. Then, most of Europe's critical infrastructure like nuclear power plants, gas pipelines, critical infrastructure lies on the eastern front. So you need to protect that. Okay. Then, current air defense system uses missiles, and I just told you that missiles is an expensive way of countering drones. Okay. So we need to use non-kinetic and cheap kinetic measures. So cost effectiveness, inadequate detection infrastructure, radar infrastructure is currently inadequate in Europe. We need that. Plus, each country is taking care of its own air defense. All these countries need to unite for a coordinated response to aerial threats from Russia. So that is why this drone wall is being built. Make sense? Simple? And now let's move on to last news item, and that is center hikes MSP for Rabi crops. Okay? Listen to me carefully, it's a very short topic. So recently, center has increased the minimum support price for Rabi crops. Okay, Rabi crops are sown during this October-November period and harvested during April period. That is why they are also called winter crops. So government has increased MSP on it. Clear? The reason is to incentivize farmers to grow more Rabi crops, because now farmers think that they will get better return. So food production would increase as far as Rabi crops is concerned. So food production would increase, food security would increase, plus this would give remunerative incomes to farmers. So win-win situation everywhere. Okay. Now, this is not important for us. What is important for us is, or questions might be asked from MSP itself. What is MSP? Okay. Some facts about MSP. So let's quickly cover all these facts. Okay. So center hikes MSP for Rabi crops. So MSP, well, it is the minimum guaranteed floor price for 22 crops. It is an assurance given to farmers that if market price falls very low, we will buy this crop from you at this guaranteed price, which is declared before the sowing season. Okay. Now the recommendations for MSP, what should be the MSP, is given by CACP, Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. Okay. This is a statutory body under Ministry of Agriculture. They only recommend, they give recommendations. Final declaration is done by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is chaired by Prime Minister. Clear? So remember this. They have asked an MCQ in UPSC prelims, okay? Confusing you. So they use the word declare and CACP. CACP doesn't declare it. CCEA declares it. CACP only recommends it. So remember this, okay? And yes, MSP is only declared for 22 crops, of which 14 are Kharif crops, 6 are Rabi crops, and 2 commercial, jute and copra. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of MSP? Very simple. Well, it protects farmers from distress sale, extremely low price sales. Then it ensures food security because now farmers think they will get a good return on wheat, so they will grow more wheat. So more wheat will be produced, food security. Okay. It also encourages crop diversification. So if government provides more MSP on pulses, then more farmers will grow pulses and leave wheat. So government can use MSP to basically incentivize farmers for crop diversification. Currently, farmers only grow rice, wheat, rice, wheat, rice, wheat. Most farmers, okay? If government increases MSP on other crops, farmers will diversify. So this can be used for crop diversification, okay? Now, currently, MSP regime is undergoing some limitations also. These are the benefits, but there are some shortcomings as well. What are those shortcomings? Well, mostly government procures only rice and wheat. Government's focus is mostly on rice and wheat. So farmers who are growing other crops, well, government rarely buys from them. So this is one shortcoming. The other is lack of legal backing. Farmers complain, and the recent farm protests in Punjab, Haryana and Delhi were on this only, that MSP is not mentioned in a law. So there is no legal guarantee. Tomorrow government can anytime remove MSP. So this is there. It causes market distortion because government is artificially increasing the price. Market should decide the price. So this is market distortion. Very simple. We will discuss about this in detail in our economics lecture, but well, just listen to it right now. And yes, well, it is a huge financial burden on the government. Food subsidy, well, government has to spend a lot of money on this. So these are some of the shortcomings. Okay. Now, along with this news, well, government also announced that they have basically launched another scheme for pulses, Atmanirbharta in pulses. Okay. Few details about this scheme for pulses is given in your notes. Just go through that. All right. And with that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it will add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture and you revise it from the notes provided by us. Okay. So in the hope that you'll do that, I shall see you next time with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.